Hi guys, in this video I will show you how I generated some ideas, some musical ideas from a non-musical object. In this case, an air conditioning. I heard this air conditioning in the center of the city over here, and there was something going on. Some metal parts were hitting each other, so it generated a rhythm. So I recorded it. And I thought it was a cool challenge to program some drums on it and play some guitar on it and see what kind of rhythm and what kind of groove this machine is generating. So I recorded the whole process and I thought it would be cool to share it with you. Let's have a look. Alright, so I've got the rhythm here, but the video is not necessary. I just want the audio. Sounds like this. You hear a lot of hum, like whoa. I want to remove that a bit. So what I did over here quickly, I removed the low end with a simple EQ. And I added a peak over here where the percussive stuff is. So I did that quickly. It doesn't have to be too precise. And also with a little bit of compression, I made the noise a bit louder. So this compared to this is much more clear to hear the actual rhythm, what's going on. So that's what I did to begin with. So first we need to set the tempo. I'm gonna put on the click. 120 is for sure too slow. 180 maybe even. A bit faster. Hey! Of course it's a machine with a set tempo. The fan revolves in a certain tempo, so luckily it stays pretty decent around 185, so we don't have to mess around with cutting and pasting stuff. Sometimes you need to do that when you have a recording that's not recorded on a metronome or a click, but for now we don't need that. So we have a set tempo 185. Then I have some drums over here. Let's see if I can find a cool part to be busy with and to edit. I could program the whole thing, but that's I don't hear cool stuff everywhere, so I just want to scan the whole recording for a cool part to edit. So let's see. So the beginning, I think it can start here. Now that's already like 2 groups of 4 bars, if I'm correct. Yeah. Which sound pretty logical to me, the rhythm. Let's have a look at the last part. I think I'll leave that as it is for now. So we have 2 pretty cool parts that make a cool rhythm. I hear some accent that could be sort of realistic to play for a drummer. Now what I can do over here is to slow it down a bit, just to hear all the accents really more clearly. Because right now I can hear it, but also you hear some kind of ghost notes going on. There are soft notes and loud notes. So if you slow it down just a bit, then you hear them more easily, and later on you can just put the tempo up again with the MIDI, of course. So let's slow it down a bit. Right mouse click and process time stretch in Cubase. So we are on 185 and I want it, for example, 250 for now. Let's see how that sounds. 150, so I want to click also to be on 150. So it's way more easy to program it like that. At least I think so. Let's start with the first bar. Loop it. Shift G for those who don't know this shortcut in Cubase. Well, it's a bit easy, but da-da-dum, dum, da-dum, da-da-dum, dum. With, for example, a bit of ghost notes. Here are some ghost notes possible as well. Groovy. Second one. I hear sort of a roll there. Start with this again. Hi-hat and snare. Actually, I can just do this and duplicate it on all 4 parts. So these are set. Again, da da dum dum da da da. Yeah, I would say that is a triplet super metal. Make it a bit more organic. Good for now. It's just to have fun, you know. Back to 8th notes. For example, groovy, and the last one. Pretty cool. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, a bit of ghost notes because we want a funky drummer. So that's it. So a real drummer, I think, would drum this a bit more interesting because the hi-hat and the snare drum are pretty basic now. But to get the idea, this is the whole thing. That's pretty cool. So these are accents just generated by this machine, the air conditioning. And that's what I like about gaining ideas in this way, because your rhythm is set. You don't touch it, you just copy it from the machine. And from there you're gonna build on top of it and see where you can get. With copying as much as possible, and later on when you have the big picture you can add some accents or loop some parts, you know. But I really would like to stick in the beginning a lot to the copying of this air conditioning. So this is a really good start. Let's have a look at the second half. I want to fill that in a different way. So this is a bit different because the hi-hat and the snare, 1, 2, 3, 4. The snare on the 3 in this case is done quite a lot, I must say. You see all kind of groovy bends. Yeah, it's pretty cool to have it sometimes, but not all the time. So you want to mess around with that snare placement a lot. That's what keeps it going. And when the halftime beat comes back later on, then the halftime beats really feels like, yeah, that's how I see it. So I want to mess around with this. Let's start just with the same thing and see where I can get. 4 hi-hats and snare and a 3, but I want to avoid that as much as possible. So let's loop this bar. Yeah, for example, start on the snare drum. Pretty cool. I hear a small triplet kick drum there, here. If it fits with the next part, I don't know, but I'm gonna see. That's not gonna fit, but maybe some snare drums, I don't know. We'll see. I hear a cool thing here. Put this back on, 8 notes. So the hi-hat can be enforced there. But the snare drum to cut. Here. Wow, that's pretty cool. There is what the machine does. I'm not thinking of anything. Is I should do it right. 8th note, triplet. It's a bit behind that, but let's keep this because we will use these drums. So if you hear that without that machine, I think it's pretty cool. So it brings a more shuffle. So that's what the actual machine did over there. That's a pretty cool funky thing over there. Fill it up with a kick just to get it going. Okay, the third. No. To do a bit more with the hi-hat, Okay, the last one. That's pretty cool as a last bar with a little fill. So there's a lot of diversity going on over there with the snare placement and hi-hat placement just a bit. So I got a guitar over here. Let's record some guitars on this thing. Let's see. I've got this. I can actually just mute the recording over here. I don't need the air conditioning anymore. I've just got the drum. That's what I'm going to work with. And for now I'm thinking this is cool, a nice tempo, but maybe I want just a bit faster. Because the original was 185, but I put 165 now. Maybe 160 to keep it nice and heavy. So you can fill it in hundreds of ways, of course. You can fill it in with notes. You can follow all the kick drums and the snares, fill in notes on top of that. What I'm gonna do right now, just to hear the groove and how these drums sound with guitars, is grab a low B, simply copy the kick drums, for example. And in the second half, I will do something else. So just let's stick to that, and then you already can hear what's happening in the groove and if it's gonna be a cool thing or not to do. So again, I take one bar just to be able to record it fast and simply not having to learn 8 bars of patterns. Well, you don't even know the outcome, if it's going to be cool, or maybe 2 or 3 bars are really cool and you want to record those the best. So for now, just record in tiny chunks so you have faster result, and from there you can build it up and add guitars, add layers, add more stuff or more notes, you know. You can even add chords or chord progressions, anything. For now, we stick to simple power chord. 1 bar. So that's a pretty easy thing. Let's see how that sounds. Pretty cool. Second one is I would only follow the kick drums, but for now I will do the snare drums in the end. Just for now. Doesn't need to be perfect, just to see the outcome. Pretty brutal. I don't know if that's cool, but fourth one. That's pretty cool. Brings me a sort of new way of muting. So that's pretty cool. See how that sounds in 4 bars behind each other. So that's quite nice. It's a cool outcome, and it brought me some new ideas also, some new ways of muting. The second half, let's see what I can do with this. Let's make that a bit more melodic. With a few notes, for example. With a little bend. Okay. With a little bend. Third one. Pretty cool. Alright, and the last one. Something like that. So this is a different outcome. These riffs sound a bit random. But I did one thing at least. In the first 2 bars I used this 6th fret. and in the last 2 bars I used the 7th. So what I was thinking is to have this note in a sort of lead playing along, and then it makes more sense, to me at least. So as you see, this brought me pretty cool ideas right now, and I didn't even have to think about creating some kind of rhythm, because the rhythm was already there in the air conditioning recordings. So I only was messing around with the drum placement and some guitar stuff. And yeah, that's what I like about this kind of brainstorming. It's a sort of brainstorming for a writing session, of course. I wouldn't say I would use this riff right away and put it on the album just like this. Maybe it needs some more editing or some different stuff. I don't know yet. But for sure it brought me cool ideas, and that's what I think it's important, to be active, to be brainstorming, and to be busy with your writing. From there you create more stuff.